Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All About Events, the show that showcases event professionals, giving you the opportunity to get to know them and the services they offer. You can see more about All About Events on my YouTube channel at Janice Smith. Today, we're getting to know Luann Jones. She's the owner and managing director for the first Black-owned funeral home, Covenant Funeral Homes. Welcome, Luann, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you, Janice. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you here today.
Thank you. I am so happy that you accepted because I thought about this for a while and I was like, I need to speak with somebody from the funeral home. And it was just perfect that I heard you broadcasting. No, I saw you on IG and I was like, I'm reaching out to her right away because I got to talk to her. So the first question I want to ask you, and I'm asking you because I have been in the situation where a minister, pastor, whatever you want to call him, said that a funeral is not an event. So let me know, is a funeral an event?
Absolutely. A funeral is one of life's most memorable events, right up there with a wedding and a baptism. It's significant. It's life-changing. Definitely an event in one's life.
I absolutely agree because I felt that it's specific and it's so meaningful have when you do a funeral. So I am so glad that you were able to clear that up because you are the professional, the expert in the industry. So Luann, tell our viewers a bit more about you.
Well, I am in the industry. I have been in the industry for some time now, a quarter of my life, actually. So I'm coming up into my 25th year. And well, not a quarter, it'd be actually half my life, or half my career, so to speak. But prior to me getting into the industry, I had no desire whatsoever of dealing with death and funerals. But funny enough, when I was a child preparing for my studies in high school, we had done a temperament test, and that temperament test came back that my characteristics were best suited as a funeral director.
Wow. Okay.
And then years later, I was in a car accident and basically at a crossroads in my life. And I went to a friend of mine who was a pastor. And I told him that, you know, I'd like to pursue something that I can actually see myself retiring in. And he said, okay, we'll do basically like a temperament assessment on you as well. And again, sure enough, it came back as funeral director, nurse, or social worker. So I laughed because I remembered that when I was in elementary school, it was funeral director. So everything that I had done in between just brought me right back to funeral service.
Back to that. Yeah, see when what did Jeremiah 29:11 say? When God has plans for you, right? And he had it laid out for you.
Yeah, it was already ordained.
Exactly. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey in terms of what courses or classes did you end up taking to direct you to where you are now?
So I think a lot of my studies were based upon, or my career selections were based upon things that I had liked to do. I love biology. Chemistry, I wasn't a big fan of. Physical education, well, the anatomy and biology. But once I actually got into the program, it was a collaboration of the biologies, it was the anatomy and physiologies, it was the chemistry, microbiology, English, psychology and business, and most importantly, theory, both practical, and actually sitting down, learning about the history of they call it the ancient Egyptian art,
Wow.
commonly known as embalming now. So it was a number of courses that I had to take to become where I am or who I am today.
Okay, that's good to know because I know when I first started coordinating funerals, there weren't very many Black funeral directors.
Hmm.
Actually, I could count on my one hand how many. And I was in the Brampton area, and I think I only knew three. So, you know, having more Blacks um, participating, having their careers in the industry, and the fact that you're a female in a male dominant
Hmm.
industry, the fact that you're a Black woman um, in what I've seen as a more European dominant industry. Tell me what that journey was like for you.
So, in essence, again, once I had decided that I was actually going to pursue it,
Mm-hmm.
not only that, you can have the desire to pursue it, it's the ability to be accepted.
Mm,
So within the
yeah.
industry, you have to do a voluntary observation period, and then you actually apply to the program. Once you get into the program, essentially you're going to need a placement.
Was that
So
hard?
it was hard,
Okay.
and not everywhere accepted volunteers.
Mm,
So to be the one of the few at that time Black people in the industry,
mm-hmm.
it I would say I stuck out. I stuck out like a sore thumb. Um, but in a sense, I really didn't, because I was able to blend and communicate and deal with people as I would without color. Death is
Okay.
a subject or a situation whereby it has no gender, it has no race, it has nothing. Death is death. And when a death occurs, everybody's on that same playing field.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
it's basically level fair ground.
Mm-hmm.
So coming into the industry, the common goal was service and serving families.
Okay.
And it helped in a sense that I was different from the others in the sense of dealing with their own communities, because people did feel somewhat comfortable
Oh,
knowing
good.
that I was there. But at the same time, it didn't matter what color I was still able to communicate and empathize and show compassion with people, and that is universal.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Did anything change once you decided to own your own?
Um, Years later, again, it was for me, it was a process. And when I actually got into the program, the goal was eventually I would like to open up my own or own my own funeral home. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew that it was going to be a hard journey ahead, because number one, there weren't any Black owned funeral homes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know of any Black funeral directors. I didn't know of anybody I can call in and ask for questions or ask
And this is
questions.
2016, when, as you said.
Well, no, this was years before. This is back in the early
Oh, okay.
90s, when I got into the
Okay.
program. So it actually took
Mhm.
me 18 years
Wow.
to
Okay.
start Covenant. And through that, I had learned absolutely everything, and I'm still learning everything that I needed, um, to develop a business plan and open up. So when we actually opened up, the challenge was to convince people that we were um,
Mm,
equally able to serve families as the ones that have been existing, for years,
Yeah.
for many, many years.
Hmm.
So within our own community, the hesitancy there was because, it's a Black owned funeral home, and it must be subpar. It's not as good as the other funeral homes. So no, we're going to go where we normally go. We
Hmm.
normally use the funeral home, you know, at the other end of
Yeah. Yeah.
where we are, type of thing.
Hmm.
And well, you can't do. But I've been in the industry so long, working for those other funeral homes, and now you're telling me that you don't think that I'm qualified to be able to serve your family. So I knew then and there that, honestly, if I had relied on my own community, I would be shut down. um
Okay.
so it was more so, the pride was there that I am the first. I was the first Black person to open up a funeral home historically. But at the same time was, I need to be able to serve families across the board. So
Yes.
whoever had that desire or had that need to be served, should they
Hmm.
have come into my care, they would have been served.
Okay.
And it's like with anything, you're trying something for the first time, you're giving somebody
Hmm.
that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just that one family that said, yes, we're going to give you the opportunity, kind of prove
Yes.
yourself and prove
Yes.
yourself to others, because
Yes.
they knew who I was. um
Yeah.
Once
That's
I
what I was going to
started
ask you. What was your first,
my
yeah,
first,
overcoming?
I had, believe it or not, I had 3 people waiting in the morgue for me. So they had died. It could have been, I think,
Ooh.
over a month, and they weren't going anywhere else, because I was supposed to get my license in January of that year, but the BAO, Bereavement Authority of Ontario, they were just transitioning from the Board of Funeral Service, and they were just moving into another location.
Hmm.
So the licensing process for me got delayed, not intentionally, but it just got caught in the shuffle, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to let families know that I'm not licensed as an establishment as yet.
Hmm.
And they said, Luann, that's fine.
They're gonna wait.
He's not going anywhere. We're gonna wait.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
he
Yes.
actually, the family actually waited. It was almost a month, before I was actually able to open up and call Covenant and answer the phone legally as Covenant
Hmm.
Funeral Home. So once I got that phone call during the day, in the evening I was at the coroner's office doing my removal and starting the process officially. So my
Yes.
first call, he was a gentleman that had passed, and he was sent to Kenya.
Oh, okay.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah. It's always good when you'll have the naysayers, but you'll have that first person that will walk to the door that will give you a chance. And that's
Absolutely.
your opportunity to prove who you are. And
Absolutely.
once you get that opportunity,
Right.
um, you just step out and do it right.
Right.
But
Right.
the
And it
first
and it was
impression.
it was funny but not funny, because we had served families, and I had a lady specifically, and I remember she said, you know, I tried to discourage my family in using you because we knew that you were Black owned. But I'm impressed at the caliber and the quality of service that I've seen here today. And I
That's good.
said, why
Mhm.
would you expect anything less?
Different, yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
I knew that there would be people that would be looking at us under a microscope, looking for every single flaw to give them fuel as to why they should not support Black businesses.
Yeah.
And at that time, and continue today, I've set the bar very, very high, because I know that there are going to be those people that are still going to be trying to scrutinize.
Yes. And I think anytime you're new in any areas of your life. Anytime you're new to it, anytime you're the new face, period, um, you're gonna get that scrutiny, especially people are not used to, um, of course, seeing a Black woman or a Black person own a funeral home. They're not used to it. So yes, they're gonna end up looking for things to say,
Mm-hmm.
no, I told you so,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, what do you consider make you different? What do you consider make you different from
Um,
other
I
funeral
I
homes
I
in
consider
general?
I consider what we do different in a sense that, so I'm just losing. Um, we base our services on families and what they desire. We're not a cookie cutter funeral home whereby we're saying it has to be done this way and this is the only way that we're going to do it. We
Mm-hmm.
give the families the opportunity and the option to tell me what they would like to have, and
Mm.
we recreate it. So
Yes.
anything they want, we basically give it to them, to the best of our
Yes.
ability to make them life. Um,
Yes.
and that's what we do.
Yes, you recently did something that we were talking about the musician. He was a drummer. Talk a little bit about that because to me, that's a true celebration of life.
Yes. Well, Bunny was a dear friend of mine. He was a renowned drummer as well, and he had been diagnosed with cancer many years ago, and it went into remission, and then it came back. And throughout those years, we would have that talk as to what he would like to have, and what he wanted done. And it was like I was his little sis. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, sis, this is what I want done. And I said, just leave it with me. I know what we're going to do, and we're going to do something big, and it's going to be memorable. But honestly, I didn't know that it was going to be that. Um,
Mhm.
that whole staging, it was literally decided right then and there when I was alone, literally alone in our preparation room with him. And
Okay.
I just envisioned everything, and basically
Mhm.
I heard a little voice said, okay, sis, it's your time, work your magic, do what you have to do.
Yes, and I'm going to make sure I post that with it so people can see exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought that was amazing. I know we spoke a little bit about celebration of life, of what I was thinking. And when I saw that, I was like, exactly. That's something that I would want to do for myself,
Right.
bring out something about me so my family could remember me in that way. Let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. So, you're in the funeral industry. And as far as I'm concerned, the funeral industry during the pandemic should be booming, um, unfortunately, but it's still your business and it's what you do. Um, Tell me a little bit about, how business has been for you during the industry during the pandemic.
Well, during the pandemic, it has somewhat, it obviously it's changed for everybody, in
Mhm.
the sense of how we care for families, how we communicate, and we conduct our services now.
Yeah.
We were always one, like when the pandemic started, the whole sanitization, the disinfection and things for us, that was a norm. Um,
Oh, right from, oh, good.
so those are things that we were practicing on a regular basis. Now, mind you, it was now heightened because we have to do the sanitization, of the entire building. But we
Mhm.
already had those products that we were using on a regular basis, anyways.
Mhm.
So that sense, it hadn't changed, but we were more vigilant now in terms of dealing and handling people, and especially dealing with families, because you don't know what you're allowing into your presence.
Mhm.
Um, the virus being a virus, meaning that it's transmitted, and in this particular case, it's transmitted airborne, we're dealing with people face to face. So, and we're speaking in direct, close proximity with people now. So the reason or how that changed was we were minimizing contact with the families as they came in. No longer are we having, 10 people on a funeral arrangement. It was limited down to 4 people, and they're not even sitting in my office. We're doing the arrangements open air, where we have our 6 feet kind of barrier, so to speak. So that's how things have changed. Obviously, the numbers have dwindled significantly. Yes. In terms of our visitors that come in to do viewings or services that we are conducting, we're used to doing, services that are 2 to 3, 4, thousands of people, hundreds, like thousands of people in attendance of our services, because of our community. As families are grieving, the community is there to support the family and the loved one. So now that number has diminished significantly, we're not getting that volume of people coming through as well. Mind you, we're still conducting funerals. We still are busy, but the time frame now is, rather than a long delay, also it's a shorter delay, which for us too is a good thing, because we're able to serve more families during that time.
Okay. All right. That was the other thing that I wanted to ask you. And before I ask you, let me just pause. Latavia, can you just pause for a second? Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I also wanted to touch base with you on is to give our viewers an idea of the steps that it takes. Because I remember, having a death in the family for the first time. And no matter how the person, whether he died suddenly, but there are families that have people that die after a long-term sickness or whatever it is, but you still go through that whole shock of, okay, what do I do now? So can you just briefly go through that and just give people an idea of, from home to the hospital, how it works?
Sure. Well, scenario is somebody has passed away. Uncle has passed away. Let's use uncle. So uncle has passed away. What do you do next? If the death has been imminent, so to speak, meaning that you knew the death was going to occur, you would call, number one, you would call your attending physician or his attending physician. Once the death certificate has been signed, even preliminarily, you can give the funeral home a call. So you would call Covenant Funeral Home at 416-265-2652. We would then answer the phone and take your information, and you would let us know that a death has occurred and you do require our services. The first thing I would be asking is, has the doctor signed the medical certificate of death, doing the actual pronouncing of the death? Legally, the funeral homes, they can't remove an individual that is deceased because the doctor has not signed it. So we could only do that once the doctor has actually signed the medical. Once the medical is signed, we usually give our team at least an hour and a half to remove the loved one from either the home or the hospital, depending upon the nature of the death. If it's a house call, it's usually an hour and a half. If it's a hospital call, we would essentially wait until we have all the paperwork ready from the hospital, meaning that he's going to be released and he can be released into our care. So once we make contact with the hospital, we'll make our way to go and pick him up from the morgue and bring him back into our care, bring him into our care.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in between, we're coordinating with the family. We're asking for vital statistical information. We're asking, is there a will and who the legal next of kin is? Because we'll always be taking direction from that person deemed the legal next of kin.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, legal next of kin has the ultimate say if there isn't a will in place. Okay, so if there's a will in place, and let's say there is an executor, so somebody in charge of making those decisions in regards to the estate, the disposition of what they would like to see happen, because everything has been outlined perhaps in that will, we would have to take direction from that person. And at times, it doesn't matter whether or not you're the child, or
Mm-hmm.
you're the eldest child, or you're the wife. If there's a will, the executor trumps everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, if the person, let's say, was married and there are children that are not biologically associated with the current partner or current wife, we have to take direction from that wife or that spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if you are the legal and biological child of the deceased. The person in charge would be the spouse, and the spouse would be the one giving us direction. So we've
Okay.
had a number of instances where there were conflicts because
Mm-hmm.
the children say that they
Want.
are the children and they want the documentation. Well, unfortunately, you're not my client. You have to ask the legal representative. In this case, it would be the wife.
Yeah.
Um, so those are
Mm-hmm.
those are a few of the things. So once uncle is in our care at the funeral home, and we have finalized some of the details and the arrangements, there's contracts that we have to sign.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the contractual agreement would be outlining the services that we promise to provide, um, services that we promise to provide to the family
Mm-hmm.
during that course of time.
Okay.
Supplies that we promise to offer or render
Mm-hmm.
for the contract.
Okay,
Um,
Luann, you mentioned that once they're in your care, you talk about the services that you offer to the client. So can you tell me about the services that's being offered and also where your locations?
Sure. Well, we're a fully functional funeral home. Our facility, in a regular instance, seats about 135 people comfortably, but based on the COVID restrictions, as of to date, we're currently at 15% of our capacity.
Okay.
So we do have visitation and service here, and
Mhm.
visitation and service means that we'll be extending our facility open for guests to come in to pay their respects to their loved one.
Okay.
Um, we do church services as well. When the churches were open, we have a lot of our funerals at the churches, and they don't have to be members of a particular church.
Mhm.
We just use the facilities as an area for more people to gather. Again,
Mhm.
pre-COVID
Okay.
directives. So again, traditional funeral, we offer burial, we offer cremation, we offer ship out services across the board, across the world, so to speak.
Mhm. Do you
And
do pre-planning as well?
we do
Pre-
pre-planning,
Mhm.
and pre-planning works with your budget. So
Okay.
basically, again, you tell me what you'd like to have, and then I incorporate it into a budget for you.
Mhm.
Um, so again, back to our services. We
Mhm.
offer professional services. We offer merchandise, caskets, urns, flowers, and we have memorial or headstone contacts and everything that you would require for a funeral as well. We offer photography and videography services.
Mhm.
With the pandemic, we're promoting more so live streams as well. And again, pre-COVID, we were doing live streams upon inception. So
Oh,
it was
okay.
just something that we were offering because a lot of our family members or families that we were serving here had family members that were overseas that
See.
couldn't make it. So we made it available that everybody can see it. So what we're doing currently right now with our live streaming is just an enhancement of the services that we were providing to families in the community.
Okay, very good. What is that 15% number? Is this 15% for the viewing, 15% for reception? What is that 15%?
Receptions are no longer allowed at this time just because
Okay.
of COVID. So
Mhm.
our 15%, again, depending upon where we are, it would vary. So the numbers, they do fluctuate.
Okay.
We also are a little bit creative in terms of how we are allowing families to come in. We have open visitations, which would allow more people to come through. So a lot of our families are happy with that, because
Yeah.
unlike other funeral homes, we're not limiting families to 2 hours of visitation or staggered visitation. We
Yeah,
allow
which is what I've noticed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we allow the entire building is the families. So you come through and we're allowing people to come through. Mind you, we sanitize. So we do take the opportunity to sanitize periodically as well. But families are well able to have a good number of people come through for the visitation.
Okay. And I just want to clarify when you said come through, because as soon as you say come through, I'm thinking like a drive-by, you just walk and keep going, that kind of thing. You do your visit and then you leave and then the next person come. Is that what you mean? Or
No, well,
please
actually,
explain.
we do drive-through funerals. I think we were one of the first funeral homes that were
Wow.
offering drive-through services
Mhm.
with the pandemic as well. But no, it's open door.
Okay.
So people will just literally come through to the funeral home. The family technically doesn't have to be present. They will
Mhm.
come in, pay their respects, and they would leave.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
there's no social gathering, there's no lingering. We're maintaining that number. Again, at that time it was 10 people. So there's
Mhm.
no more than 10 people inside the building at a time.
Okay, and now we're moved up to 15% capacity. So whatever that capacity was, 15% of that. And
Correct.
where are your homes located?
So our main, I say, operation central is in Scarborough, where I am currently. We do our preparations and currently now hosting funerals and visitations on site here.
Mhm.
We do have another facility out in Mississauga that we use as well, our satellite location in Mississauga. I
Okay.
have another location that I will be opening up soon as well
Mhm.
in the Weston Road and Lawrence area. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So we have locations throughout the city per se. I have a
Mhm.
number of churches that have been gracious enough and opened their doors to us as well if we needed space.
Mhm.
So we're across the GTA literally, and there's no additional charges for us to be serving families outside of our jurisdiction here in Toronto.
Okay, that's amazing. That's good to hear.
Hmm.
Um, uh, the actually, I appreciate that as a fact, because people see you, let me say, people see you, they like your service. And I'm in Brampton and I know Mississauga is right there, but say I'm in Markham or wherever, I still can get in touch with you and work with any of the homes that you have in the surrounding or satellite homes that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've gone all the way to Belleville, Belleville to, I would say, as far as currently Cambridge, to
Mm.
do services, north all the way to Barrie. I've gone cross border. I've gone to the U.S. to conduct
Mhm.
services. I've gone to Kenya as well. So wherever families, I've gone to Jamaica.
That's
Um,
yeah.
yeah, wherever families need for me to be, that's where I'll be.
So hold on, before I wrap up. So how does that work? They actually pay for your travel to come to wherever to direct the service?
Mhm, mhm.
Wow, that's
And
very
I work alongside the local funeral homes as well. We work
mm,
simultaneously. We
mhm.
complement each other, and the
Yeah.
families are happy because that continuity is still there.
Okay. That's definitely similar to event planning, wedding planning,
Absolutely.
that you travel and you
Absolutely.
go.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
Well, congratulations again. And I must say thank you very much. And like I said, I was really happy when you accepted. And I really appreciate that you opened up and you shared with us, um, your journey and the services that you offer. And I look forward to our viewers really taking a look at, this interview and touching base with you. And I want you to give your phone number again so
Sure.
we can give you a call. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Again, my phone number, the office phone number is 416-265-2652. If you need to speak to me directly, I'm giving out my personal cell phone number, and that is 416-459-2682. You can text me, you can WhatsApp me, you can contact me. Um, if you need to reach me right away, if you have any questions, I'm available to talk or to text. And before
Wow.
I forget, we also have another location that I'll be opening up in Philadelphia.
Congratulations
You're you're
again.
you're you're first to hear that.
Yes.
Breaking news.
Wow. Breaking news for all our viewers. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, all our viewers, when times are hard, when there's a death in the family, death in your family, please, I just want to let you know that Covenant Funeral Homes are there. Luann is there. You heard her. She has given you her personal telephone number as well as the office number. So you can reach out to her, phone her, text her, WhatsApp her, and she'll be there to assist you. So once again, Luann, thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us. And I look forward to speaking to you again. Thanks a lot. And I pray a blessing on you.
Thank you so much. And again, it's an honor to be a part of future occasions. Because definitely this is something that is really promised to everybody.
Yes.
So having the insight and the ability to do things in advance is important as well.
Mhm.
But know that there is somebody out there that does take pride in what they do, and look after your loved one as I would my own.
Thank you. And I really appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you. God bless
Thank
you.
you. You too. Take care.
All
Bye
right then.
bye.
Bye bye.